This is the Art Beauty Podcast where we tell the real truth about the fake shit. I'm Amber, and today my fabulous fitness guru co-host is Ms. Tatiana Boncompagni. She is the founder of Eat Sunny, a dear friend of the show, a dear friend of mine in real life. Tatiana, it's so good to have you here today.
It's great to see you, Amber, and it's a pleasure to be here. This is like my favorite thing to do, talk about life-changing behaviors.
You know, I mean, I feel like right now I need a little bit of that. And, you know, I know that you've been on the show before, and I have to tell you, the fitness and like the nutrition stuff always does so well because I think that people, it's not that we don't know it, but we need to kind of be reminded of these tips and that like every day you can be the change.
Absolutely. I think it's a few things. I mean, everybody always asks me about what I'm eating, what I'm doing, even more so than fitness. I think people are looking for tips about their nutrition. And I think that the other aspect of it is that there's so much information out there that it gets really overwhelming for a lot of people. And so having somebody give you a tip and kind of streamline it for you and bring it like on the front burner versus back burner can be helpful.
You know, I'm loving that you're just saying that too, because I think like we need reminders. And sometimes it's like also we need reminders that like forgive yourself. Like if you overdid it, if you've been drinking too much, if you've been eating too much, all things which I have been doing, you know, that you can actually start today and make a change. And we know I'm really focusing today because I love Eat Sunny. This is your brand. And I know that I get these wonderful blog posts from you and email posts from you. And one was really great because it was like, realistically, summer bodies start now. We're sick of hearing it, but like now is the time. We're in March. It's time to get started. And this is the time that we can make a difference. But you had 3 tips that I really feel like were great to kind of just remind us of stuff. And so I'd like to kind of go through some of those. But before we do, I have to say the new Eat Sunny website is so good.
Good. Thank you.
I know how much, a lot of work, but
really hard. I think one of the things about food is that people are very, very specific about what they want. And so being able to personalize as much as possible really helps. It really helps our customers come back for more. It's not just like offering the product once or twice. We're trying to build lifetime relationships. Either you're ordering from us all the time to prepare for an event or recover. We have people who are recovering from either plastic surgery or knee surgery or anything, or prepare. We have lots of couples who prepare for weddings and mothers of the bride, etc. Or people who just use us here and there when they know they need the extra support. Like you, Amber.
So like me, I, full disclosure, just placed an order because my husband will be traveling next week. And for me, when he's gone, cooking for one is really tough. Number 2, I find that I get into these food ruts, right? Like where I'm eating the same things and like they serve me and I try to make sure they're varied, but like we make 3 things in our house every week. And that is because he started a new job. And so now I am the cook. So I have 3 things in my cooking repertoire that I can make. They're delicious. We have it all the time. But whenever he goes away, I'm always, I always call you and I'm like, I'm ordering Eat Sunny. Because for me, it's so worth it. It's worth it because I don't have to go to the grocery store. It's worth it because I know I'm getting perfectly portioned meals that are actually healthy, and that are sort of rounding out my diet in a way that
you're probably getting different nutrients than you would because variety is important in the sense that the more various amounts of vegetables and fruits and healthy fat sources like seeds and legumes, we're getting a different mix of nutrients. And so that like kind of keeps you covered.
But we're going to get into the food rut in a second, the 3 tips, but do you, I love this because whenever I come to your house, I'm always like, you open the fridge. Now you are a mother. So you've got, I feel like you're, nutrition expert. But you have like a fridge that is like my dream fridge. Like it's got lots of color and different products. And do you ever get into like a food rut though?
Sure, but I am a person, food ruts are not problems for me. They don't, I know people who get very bored, and that's another thing that we've been working on very hard at Eat Sunday, is like having our menus turn over every couple weeks, because a lot of people really want variety. And so now that we've been in business longer, we have a bigger menu and we'll continue to add to it. But for me personally, I'm one of those people who can eat the same salad for lunch for like a month and not have a problem with it.
Me too. So that's
I
what I'm saying. Like,
I think it's okay. I think it's okay. I think as long as you're covering your macronutrients and your micronutrients in what you're eating. So the salad that I eat is a rainbow salad. So I
right.
know I'm getting vitamin A and C and E from the healthy fats that I consume, and enough amino acids from the lean protein or plant-based protein. So, I mean, I am a professional, so I know how to keep a balanced diet. But when it comes to specific recipes, I'm happy eating the same thing over and over. And we have customers who actually get very upset when we change our menus too, because they want to make sure that their favorite foods are on the menu. So it's hard to please everybody, and everybody's a little bit different.
I'm excited. I feel like in this latest order, which is going to come on Sunday, I did some old favorites, right? So like I love the vermicelli noodles. I love the salmon with that hash, but I think there are some new things too. There was like a different kind of a meatball, maybe the spaghetti squash, which I haven't done.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the spaghetti squash, we now serve it with, not just on its own with eggplant, but also with the turkey zucchini meatball.
Yeah.
So, and yeah, that's been a bestseller. We now have some pad thai on the menu that is like,
yeah.
insane.
Oh, I think I got one of those too. And I love because when you do like a 3-day meal, for anybody who's listening, we'll talk about this a little bit more, explain the plan, but it's like a breakfast, a lunch, a dinner, and a snack. And my favorite snack, you know what it is? It is those cookies. And guess what?
Yeah.
Now that you can customize and plan, 3 days of cookies. And you know what? If anybody doesn't like it, whatever.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I just want you to try our other snacks though, because we have some new snacks. So I'm going to get them to you.
Okay. Yeah, I will. But those cookies, man, are so freaking good. I live for those cookies.
They are so good. They are so good.
So let's talk now today, and we will talk more about the Eat Sunny program after. But before we get into that, can you sent this great thing. Summer bodies are made now, and as much as we might not want to be hearing it right now, springtime, because it takes a long time for our bodies to sort of adjust to things. Now is the time that we really should be thinking about what we want to look like come bathing suit weather. And you had 3 great tips, and I'd love you to kind of expand on them. The first one was know that the beginning is hardest and prepare for it.
Right. Now, well, just to back up a second, I think we should try and have as much as we can our summer bodies all year round, because there's the whole point of our plan is that it's a lifestyle and not a diet. So fair. I don't want people to think that, I do love what you're saying in the sense that, yeah, we're like 3 months away from summer or whatever it is now. And so if you are embarking on a healthy plan, which you can really start at any point, but the idea is that you would do it in a way that is sustainable, and you're not crash dieting. You're not doing some crazy juice fast or meal replacement fast or whatever it is. And so you're changing your habits hopefully for the long term, because I want people to feel good, summer good every day. Like,
right. But you know what? I always say, like, part of the only benefit of living in the Northeast is that we do have a winter, and you do have sweater weather, and it can be a little more forgiving. That said, I think that it's not a great way. I mean, you look great 365, but my weight definitely fluctuates. And I have learned in my 40s to kind of be a little more forgiving, right? Holidays, stress, all that stuff. If I want to have a drink of tequila, I've stopped beating myself up for it. If I want to have sweets, I've stopped beating myself up for it.
Right.
But I try to make sure that then it's not like I'm doing that every day, all the time.
Well, first of all, Amber, my weight fluctuates too. Everybody's weight fluctuates. First of all, we're women, we get our periods, it's natural to have weight fluctuations month to month. It's also natural to have weight fluctuations season to season. And for me personally, I'm more active in the summer because I hate the cold. So, you and I go on tons of walks in the summer. I just am like I'm moving more. And that natural little shift in the amount of calorie expenditure from just walking, 20 blocks to a department store or to a dinner instead of taking a cab or the subway makes that difference. And my body starts to kind of tighten up in the summer and lean out. I am a little bit like, softer and rounder in the wintertime. But at the same time,
I like to call it cozy, fluffy. We're fluffier. We're cuddlier.
More to love.
More to love.
More to love. And more for me to love, not just for somebody, because there's nobody else loving this, but like at the moment anyways, but it's more for me to love. And so, okay. So, but to get to the tips, because I know everyone's tuning in because they're looking for help in terms of shifting their behaviors. And these are tips that apply not just to how you, actually not just to nutrition. These are behavior and habit related tips. So they're really about behavioral science more than they are about nutritional science. And the first one is something that I really talk about with clients, and that's the beginning is the hardest, as you said. And so what that means is like it's just the science of how our bodies work. It's our bodies are wired to do the same things, to want the same things. It's kind of the animal piece of ourselves. And so whenever you change a habit, that's the hard part, is changing the habit. Then it be like just as much as like eating a bag of chips at 4 o'clock, our bodies will crave that bag of chips. Eating a salad for lunch or egg whites for breakfast, or whatever the healthy meal choice that like really sings to you will become a habit as well. But going from chocolate chip pancakes to egg white omelet, that's the hard part. Once your body starts getting used to the fact that you're eating that egg white omelet every morning, that's what it's going to start craving. And I think that simply having that knowledge to know that the beginning is the hardest, you can mentally prepare yourself that like, it's almost like, I don't know, like for me, it's like going into labor. It's a temporary thing, or like going on a run when you're uncomfortable. You're uncomfortable. It's okay to feel uncomfortable as long as you're mentally prepared for it and you realize that it's not always going to be quite as hard.
Right. I love that you're saying that, because I think a lot of people can relate, especially when it comes to fitness, right? When you start any fitness, and I love that you were like, oh, your arms look good. I actually, 4 weeks ago, I started the Peloton Total Strength 2 program. And, the first week I was like lifting weights again. And I'm like, God, this is hard. And last night I was like, up with my 20s and kind of, doing stuff. And I'm like, oh my God, I don't even know if it looks different. I should have taken a picture, but I know that I feel different. Right.
Yeah.
And so that 4 weeks of that. So like that beginning, it's like I love that you said that it's the hardest to get started. So do you think like maybe is it better in that respect than to like start small? Right? Like when you start weightlifting, like you lift lighter weights until you can work up. How do we do that with nutrition?
Well, so science tells us it takes 21 days to start a habit. I mean, there's been a lot of studies around that. So I always tell people, give something 21 days. And if you really hate it and it's too hard and you're not seeing any adjustment after 21 days, then maybe it's not the right plan for you. But when it comes to diet, if you're going to talk about making changes, any incremental change is going to have a positive impact. So some people are wired, and I'm one of these people. I like to go like all in. If I'm not making incremental changes doesn't work for me. it's much easier for me to like quit alcohol, change my diet, like really focus. But I'm that kind of person. I'm like a type A type person.
Yeah.
I need to have like,
Structure,
in fact,
rules,
right. Structure, rules,
or guidelines.
have,
Let's say rules, but guidelines,
yeah, whatever. It's the same thing.
accountability. Yeah.
But the point is that everybody's different. Some people can't make massive changes. In fact, that's what sends them running in the other direction. When I talk about sustainability, I mean, you're not depriving yourself. You're eating in a way that is filling, and you're not having brain fog. And this is a way that you can truly eat for the long term. But if I've somehow gotten on a path where normally my issue is like, oh, I'll start drinking every night, like, tequila or wine or whatever, or I'll start picking at my kids' cookies and chips and things like that. So I just need to have focus. And for me, the easiest way to get back to focus is having structure. And around that structure is like the total plan. But that's me. That's my personality. For other people, it can be the smallest shift, and they can do that for a while, and then they can move on to something else. So it can be, instead of eating French fries with their main course, they're eating a side salad. And that's the only change that they make for a little while until they start to develop more of a taste for vegetables. Or, it can be, there are so many different ways. Like, it's a terrible thing to say because I'm a cat lover, but there's 1,000 different ways to skin a cat. And it's true. It really is true. When it comes to like almost anything, we all have a way to get to the top of the mountain. And understanding yourself and your own behavior patterns is the way you figure out what is the smartest and most successful path for you.
Right. I like that. So keeping in mind, your first piece of advice for, not summer bodies start now, which they do, but how to now effectively make changes for a lifetime of better, the quote unquote summer body, is to know that starting out is going to be hard and to stick with it. And I like this, give something at least 21 days to try to change that behavior. Do you have tips on like how we can kind of stay inspired during this process?
Yes. I mean, that's why I created Eat Sunny, is because I think that having structure is a big, it takes a lot of the pressure off of people. And behavioral science also teaches us that there's something called decision fatigue. So the more choices you have to make in a given day when you're trying to make these healthy habit changes, whether it's eating better or exercising, or even not engaging in negative thought patterns, the more you can take decisions away from yourself, the more likely you are to stay on course and on plan. So that's why, whether it's getting Eat Sunny to deliver meals to you so you don't have to think about anything, or having following a diet plan, whatever that may be, will often result in great amounts of success for you, because you won't suffer from decision fatigue. That's another reason why getting a personal trainer, or for you logging on to Peloton, you're not deciding what workout to do. Someone is telling you what to do. And if you're not a professional, like I am a personal trainer, so I go to the gym and I have a program that I can do for myself. But that's what I do. I'm trained to do that.
Right.
For other people, having choice when they go to the gym, am I gonna get on the bike? Am I gonna get on the stair mill? Am I gonna lift weights today? That is one more piece of the puzzle that breaks down your what's the word? I mean, your commitment and your likelihood to continue succeeding. So as much of this that you can take away from yourself, this decision process, the more likely you are to succeed.
I love that. That is such a great idea. I've talked to my own doctor, was like, the more choices we have sometimes too, the more likely we are to deviate from our original plan. So he's like, whenever you're going out to a restaurant, somebody wants to make, it's not a bad idea to look at the menu first, to kind of scout your healthier options while you're not hungry. Yeah, I do too.
So So whenever I go to a restaurant first, usually it's like on the way there because I don't have time. But almost every restaurant has their menu online these days, which is great. And I scan. So I'll just give these tips for the people out there in terms of what I look for when I order. If I'm having two courses, the first will either be I like crudos, like anything like either oysters are an incredibly healthy food. You can get a small amount of them, like say 6 oysters. They're loaded with zinc. Zinc is an essential nutrient that we need for like hundreds of bodily functions that sometimes people don't get enough of, or like shrimp, but oysters are my go-to. Or you can do like a crudo if there's like a fluke or some sort of sashimi. Those are just, hands down the best choices. People often think salad is the best choice, but only if you get dressing on the side and you don't choose, for example, like a Caesar type salad or a blue cheese salad. So it has to be like a vinaigrette and get it on the side. And if it comes loaded with cheese, ask for no cheese, etc. You really just want
salads can be
vegetables.
really, they started putting calories on a lot of bigger chain restaurants. And I remember
Mhm.
the first time I went in, I forget what the restaurant was, but I realized like I would have been better off having a hamburger than what I thought was going to be the healthy salad because of all of the calories in the dressing, in all of the stuff that was added to it. So you have to be
Yeah,
careful. You have to be careful with salads.
absolutely. I think people often think of salads and smoothie bowls, chia puddings. There's like avocado toast. There's all these foods that people think are healthy choices, and while the ingredients that are in them may be healthy, they can still be very high in calories. And
Yeah.
if your goal is weight loss, then it's important to be informed about what meals have in terms of calorie counts. And I actually rarely order salads in restaurants because I know that how highly caloric they can be. I also make a lot of salad for myself at
Yeah.
home. Um, so it's like, why would I order that when I go out? And also, I really pride our salads at Eat Sunny, for example, because our dressings tend to be like much lower in calories than normal dressings.
You need to sell
Um,
that tahini dressing by itself. It is everything.
I know,
Okay.
I
I,
know.
I don't want people to curse me out right now because you were on such a good roll of what you order, which I was like, give me everything.
Oh,
So
okay.
so for appetizers, you said like an oyster or shrimp or crudo, really the best choices that you
Like,
can
yeah,
get.
like a salmon. I try and stay away from tuna tartare just because of the high levels of mercury.
Okay.
So,
Oh,
but
I
every
love
once in
tuna
a while,
tartare. Yeah.
I know, but like you can have it like once a month. I have it like once a month, but don't be having it once a week. I mean,
Got
even
it.
though they say the guidelines, the CDC guidelines are like that you can have, I think, up to 2 servings a week. Normally, people don't eat the same. A serving is also generally thinking about portion size. Don't finish it. That could be your main. If you love tuna tartare, you can order a tuna tartare as your main course once a month. But it tuna tartare often comes with chips, and then which are high in calories, obviously, and also avocados, which are
Yeah.
fantastic for you, but also high in calories. So tuna tartare can be like a little bit caloric. If you're going to have it. If you're with a table of people, you could divide it into 4 portions, for example. That's like sashimi crudo is probably a far safer choice because those come with very acidic like sauces, so
Right.
lemon juices and tigre de leche and things like that. So that you're in lime juice, so you're not adding a lot of extra fatty acids and calories that come from fat.
Okay. So what do you go for mains?
I always order fish.
Okay.
Almost always. Like sometimes I'll get like a lamb chop just because I crave lamb chops every once in a while. I love lamb. You know, but for the most part, I get the branzino. If
Mm-hmm.
there's a grilled branzino, that's my go-to. Or if there halibut is a little bit high in mercury, so I try not to have it all the time, but I love halibut, so I'll have halibut every once in a while. Any white fish. So, for example, and then salmon also once in a while, but salmon is also very high in fat and is kind of
Mm-hmm.
akin to eating chicken, or even beef. A lot of people don't realize that. I definitely eat salmon. I love salmon. It's beautiful for your skin. It's anti-inflammatory. It's a superfood. But one thing to be aware of is if they're served like I don't know what restaurants people are going to. So if they're getting a huge piece of salmon, hopefully it's wild salmon, because that's the one that's very high in omega-3s, which has the benefits for our brain and gut and all those things. But like, you don't want to eat a 10-ounce portion of salmon. That's like eating a 10-ounce steak almost. So you really want to keep your serving size to 4 to 6 ounces for salmon. When you're eating branzino or any flaky whitefish, that's so low in calories and so low in fat that you can actually eat up to 8 ounces.
Right. Which is like essentially generally like almost, the fit, like the fillet.
Yeah. That's like the size of your hand basically, or like a little bit larger. Whereas salmon, you want to eat more of like the deck of cards, like the meat size, so understanding portion really puts a lot of power in your hands as well when you're eating out and when you're cooking for yourself.
Right. Yeah. I also, when I'm at a restaurant, I'm sure like I think like a filet mignon is generally not the worst choice for me, because it's always portion controlled. You're never,
Smaller.
it's going to be much smaller and a little less fatty. What are your thoughts on that?
I love filet mignon. I
Okay.
think you look scared for a second. You're like, don't take my filet mignon away from me. I would never do that, Amber. No, I love filet mignon. First of all, as far as cuts of meat go, it's a fantastic cut. It's actually pretty lean. If you can't afford filet mignon and you're cooking at home, another wonderful steak to get is the Kansas City and the iron. Something iron. I just blanked on it. It's like the gridiron steak, or sorry, I'm blanking on it. But if you ask your butcher, the cuts that they have from the shoulder of the cow, that's the Kansas City, and that's I want to say it's like black iron steak. There are a few Denver cut as well, comes from the shoulder. So it has the same kind of, if you think about a cow, standing in the field, they're not like Amber lifting weights to Peloton. They're like, the one thing that cows don't use is their shoulder, right?
Right.
They're just standing. They're like saying moo in a field. And so therefore it's very tender, because it's not going to be very sinewy or whatever. And it's not very fatty. This is not going to be a fatty cut for them. So the shoulder cut of beef is really excellent if you can't afford filet mignon, which, I can't all the time. So that's what I go for.
Amazing. Yeah. I mean, we don't eat out all that much, and like steakhouses are rare, but when I am there, I'm like, this is what I'm getting. So I thank you for sharing that. Because I think we all like to know. I mean, I'm like obsessed with what everybody else is eating. I'm also obsessed with what are in people's carts, which we should do another podcast on that. Like, what do you actually, because I find like when I'm at the grocery store, again, I buy the same 3 things every damn week. It's just what we do. Going back to these sort of fitness tips that we have, I love this idea that you were like, okay, so 1, that the beginning is going to be hard. 2, trying to eliminate some of the decision fatigue is really great. You have also mentioned to me before, which I really think is a nice thing to remember. It's like, don't be afraid to say no to situations that are going to be that aren't going to serve you, whether that is in your diet or in your life, realistically. Can you give us some tips on that?
Well, one of my favorite things to say to people is, sometimes saying no to other people means saying yes to yourself.
Oh, I like that.
It's a very powerful idea that people need to really, really try and digest and keep front of brain. So again, when you're making life changes, that is the hard time. It's a very delicate time. It's like the crucial time. And it's the time that you give yourself. It's a gift that one gives themselves. They're saying yes to themselves. When you say, I love my girlfriends and I haven't seen them in forever, and it's somebody's birthday, and there's all 110 reasons why you feel social pressure to say yes to this party, or this dinner or whatever, but you know that you're setting yourself up for temptation and potentially failure. So that decision, we've all been there. I mean, come on, we've
Right.
all been there saying, I'm going to take a week off of socializing and actually not, because it's hard for me to go to a restaurant when all my friends are getting sloshed and they're eating yummy foods and whatever. And that's going to be hard for me. Sometimes we say to ourselves, oh, well, we can manage it. And then we get there and we're like, screw it. Or sometimes we stick with it, but then we don't have any fun. When really what we want to do is like be home, getting in a bubble bath and focusing on self-care rituals. So I really feel like my job sometimes with clients is giving them permission to say no to other things and say yes to themselves.
I like that. You also have to be careful. Listen, I hate to say this, and hopefully, at this point in your life, you don't have them, but there are people out there who are just going to be those saboteurs, right? Or saboteur. They're going to sabotage you. Sabotage what?
Yeah.
Did I get it right? Okay. All right.
Get it right.
The people who are really, I don't want to say that are out to get there, but there's always that friend who's going to be like, oh my God, we have to get this dessert, or you have to have another drink, or you have to do this. And you have to, at least in my opinion, it's never a bad time to start reconsidering who you're giving your time for. The biggest gift you can give to anybody is the gift of your time and yourself. And I think sometimes we need to be reminded of that. And if there are people out there who are just constantly reinforcing negative behaviors, like maybe it's a good time to make a life shift of removing those things that don't serve you from your life.
Well, you should never feel like you have to replicate somebody else's behavior just because
Right.
you're around them. Like if somebody's ordering dessert doesn't mean that you have to have it too. That is again why I say when you're in this like kind of precarious first starting out moment of these like first weeks where you're really trying to make changes, drinking less, eating less sugar, things like that. And it's going to be hard for you to sit in front of your friend who's devouring, the most beautiful looking sundae that you've ever seen. Don't put yourself in that position. Don't.
Right.
That's you. That's on you.
Right.
That's your responsibility. That's not somebody trying, but at the same, so you should be, by the time you start saying yes again to friends, you should be in a place of what we call in the industry maintenance.
Right.
So and maintenance means you figured out how to eat to be at the weight that you want to be at, or at the fitness level that's supportive of that, or whatever metric you want to use in terms of what your nutritional goals are and fitness goals are.
Right.
So you're there, right? You've gotten there. At that point, you can start adding in what we call cheat meals, right? So they're off plan, and everybody needs them. Your brain to say to yourself, I am never going to eat a chocolate chip cookie or sundae or have a glass of red wine or champagne or whatever, then I think that life would be really sad and you might go a little crazy. And although there are people who do that, but that doesn't work for me. I don't think that works for the most amount of people. So the thing with maintenance is a tricky time. You don't want to start it until you really are on a firm foundation in terms of your new habits being what your body is craving, what makes you feel good. And you almost feel like afraid to start drinking again and afraid to start, because you feel so good and you just want to hold on to that. So what you do in maintenance is you start little by little. So that might be one meal a week with like your boyfriend or your girlfriends or whatever, where you're like kind of like no rules apply anymore. Like you get to have that glass of wine or 3 glasses of wine or dessert or whatever. And then you see how you feel. And if you're going overboard and your body feels toxic, or you immediately feel like your pants aren't fitting the same or whatever, you went too far in that direction. I always suggest start with 1 meal a week because there's a limited amount of damage that you can do. And I think it's easier to do dinner versus breakfast because that sometimes will set you up for a whole day of where you feel like.
Yeah. A boozy brunch can really set you up for a very because
it's
a dangerous day.
And don't make it a cheat day. It's a meal.
Meal.
So it's like you have one distinct meal where you're going out, you feel amazing, you look amazing, and you earn this baby. Like
Right.
you enjoy every
Do it.
single bite of it, no regrets, it's great. And then you go to bed and you wake up, and the next day is going to be difficult because your body is going to start craving sugar, because that's what happens after you metabolize all the sugar and the alcohol from the day before. So you will find that your appetite the next day is elevated. So you have to plan for that, which means you go right back on your structure. You have a high protein, low fat breakfast like egg whites or a couple eggs and some whole wheat toast. You don't skip breakfast the next morning because that sets you up for a bad day. You have like a meal that's going to help you balance your blood sugar, because that you're going to wake up and your blood sugar is going to be off. And then you have a light lunch and you have a light dinner, and then you go back to your normal days.
Yeah. I think that is like such good advice, and really knowing, and, you and I have talked about it before, drinking, especially. And just to be clear out there, I know both Tatiana are not talking. If drinking for you is a problem and you need to stop forever, that is a thing that I know both of us support. When we're saying the idea of never having a drink again for somebody, setting yourself up with these rules, if that isn't part of an issue for you, can be a little daunting and hard. But you and I've talked about it. It's like, I don't think like you and I, especially throughout COVID, would be like, oh, we're having a glass of tequila every night. And then I remember you told me when you stopped that, it wasn't so much that you were feeling terrible during it, but when you stopped that behavior, you realized how much better you felt.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's a difference, but there's a difference between dependency and I think, alcoholism. And I think that when it has to be a nightly thing, there's dependency there.
Yeah.
And it may not be like disease level alcoholism, but I don't want to feel like I'm dependent on anything.
No.
And you're exactly right. Beyond that, I mean, there are times in your life when you just want to go on a beach vacation and have a drink. And COVID certainly was like an abnormal time for a lot of us. And I think we all should kind of, if it became a dependency for you as it did for me, that's fine. It's just like, okay, we got through it. Got through it. That's done. There's nothing I can do to change that.
But now, okay, I see the kids are getting up, and you know what? We're gonna sort of wrap this up a little bit.
Okay.
On that,
wait.
Let me let you go. But before we let you go, really quickly, if people want to know more about Eat Sunny, because let's talk about what's important in life. We've got our nutrition tips. Where can they go?
Oh, yes. All right. So www.eatsunny.com is our website. I also think we do a really good job on our Instagram. Everything's on Instagram. So Eat Sunny Life. So EATSUNNY Life, LIFE. And you'll learn a lot about our principles when it comes to nutrition and the specific meals that we have on our menu. But to order, it's www.eatsunny.com. And you can always also reach out to us. If you go to our website, there's chat boxes. You can DM us. We're here to help and answer questions.
I love that. And I'm going to let you go because I see that little adorable nugget. If anybody at home wants to know about my experience with Eat Sunny, I'm always happy to tell you. You can email me at hello@artbeautypodcast.com. You can write me on Facebook, Instagram, and right here on YouTube at Art Beauty Podcast. I'm going to give you a big giant kiss. I cannot wait for our walks to start again, Tatiana. Thank you for being on the show. And as always, we will see you next Tuesday, hopefully feeling a little bit better.
Okay. Bye, sweetie.
Bye.